Agrabah awakens with the sun, as it always has. Golden light spills gently over domed rooftops and narrow stone streets, warming the city before its people fully open their eyes. Merchants lift wooden shutters, rolling carpets are laid across dusty ground, and the scent of fresh bread drifts through the air, mingling with spices carried by the morning wind. This is a city that never truly sleeps, it simply rests between breaths. High above the noise and movement, the palace stands still, white and distant, watching the world below without ever touching it. And far beneath those towers, a boy runs. Aladdin moves through Agrabah barefoot, his steps light and quick, his path instinctive. He knows every turn, every hidden corner, every place where shadows offer shelter. To outsiders, Agrabah is a maze. To Aladdin, it is a map written into his bones. He is not running for adventure, nor for excitement. He is running because hunger waits for no one. A loaf of bread disappears from a stall. A shout follows. Laughter echoes as Aladdin vanishes into the crowd, Abu clinging to his shoulder, chattering triumphantly. The city swallows them both, just as it always does. Aladdin does not think of himself as a thief. He thinks of himself as a survivor. Yet when the chase fades and the noise below becomes distant, Aladdin climbs to the rooftops, where the air feels lighter and the city stretches endlessly before him. In these quiet moments, a thought always returns, soft, persistent, impossible to ignore. This cannot be all there is. Across the city, behind walls that rise higher than any dream Aladdin dares to imagine, Princess Jasmine stands alone on her balcony. From here, Agrabah looks peaceful, almost unreal. She sees movement without freedom, sound without choice. Every lesson of her life has taught her how to be graceful, how to be polite, how to belong to a role already written. None have taught her how to choose. She watches people live lives she will never touch. Neither Aladdin nor Jasmine knows it yet, but this morning, this ordinary morning beneath the sun of Agrabah, is the first step toward a story that will change them both. If you enjoy immersive storytelling like this, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us continue bringing timeless stories to life. Aladdin did not know exactly when his life began to change, only that something felt different after that morning in the marketplace. The city remained the same, noisier by noon, quieter by dusk, but inside him, a small, restless feeling refused to settle. It followed him as he ran through the alleys, as he shared stolen bread with Abu, as he lay on the rooftops watching clouds drift across the sky. He had met someone who made the world feel larger. Jasmine had laughed easily, without fear of being heard. She had spoken of the city as if it were a place to explore rather than endure. She asked questions Aladdin had never thought to ask and listened as if his answers mattered. When she disappeared into the crowd, leaving behind only a fleeting smile, Aladdin felt as though a door had briefly opened and then quietly closed again. For the first time, the palace no longer felt distant because of height alone, but because of what it represented, everything he was not. That thought followed him into the desert. Jaffar's offer came cloaked in half-truths and careful words. Aladdin sensed danger, but hunger and curiosity often drowned caution. When guards led him beyond the city walls, the familiar noise of Agrabah faded into silence, replaced by endless sand and a sky that felt too wide to escape. The Cave of Wonders did not rise gently. The earth trembled as stone split and shifted, revealing a massive lion-shaped mouth carved from living rock. Its eyes glowed faintly, ancient and watchful, as though judging every breath Aladdin took. The warning echoed clearly. Low and final, only one may enter. A diamond in the rough. Aladdin did not understand the words, but he felt their weight. He stepped inside anyway. The cave swallowed light. Walls shimmered with gold and gemstones, reflecting distorted images of endless wealth. Treasure lay everywhere: cups, crowns, jewels piled higher than reason itself. But Aladdin remembered the instruction whispered into his ear. Only the lamp. It was old, unremarkable, resting quietly atop a small pedestal as though deliberately overlooked. Aladdin reached for it carefully, his fingers closing around cold metal worn smooth by time. The mistake came quietly. Abu, drawn by glittering temptation, reached for a jewel. The cave shuddered. Gold sank into sand, walls shifted, and the floor collapsed into chaos. In moments, the brilliance turned to darkness. And the exit vanished completely. Trapped. In the silence that followed, fear crept in, not loud, not dramatic, but steady and cold. Aladdin held the lamp simply because it was there, something solid in the dark. When he rubbed it absent-mindedly, hoping for nothing more than comfort, the world exploded into color. Blue smoke filled the chamber, swirling and expanding until it formed a figure larger than the cave itself. The genie appeared, laughing, moving, talking faster than thought itself, his voice echoing with excitement and wonder. Yet beneath the jokes and energy, Aladdin noticed something else. Loneliness. The genie had power beyond imagination, yet no freedom to use it for himself. Bound to the lamp, bound to wishes, bound to whoever happened to hold the metal in their hands. 3 wishes were offered. No more. No less. Aladdin hesitated. His first wish was not spoken lightly. He wished to become a prince, not for riches alone, but for a place in a world that had always been closed to him. The magic responded instantly, reshaping reality with ease. Agrabah barely recognized itself the day Prince Ali arrived. Music filled the streets. Colors burst across the marketplace. Gold and silk moved like living things as a grand procession swept through the city gates. People gathered in awe, cheering a name they had never heard before but would never forget. Aladdin walked among them, transformed, yet uncertain. The clothes fit perfectly. The title rolled easily from the lips of others. But beneath it all, he remained the same boy who had once stolen bread to survive. Jasmine watched from the palace steps, unimpressed by spectacle alone. She sensed something familiar beneath the performance. Something honest hidden behind polished words and rehearsed smiles. As days passed, Aladdin found himself trapped between 2 worlds. As Prince Ali, doors opened effortlessly. As Aladdin, he remembered every closed gate, every whispered judgment. The lie grew heavier with each passing moment, especially when Jasmine looked at him with curiosity mixed with doubt. Magic could create illusion, but it could not erase truth. Jafar watched patiently. He saw the uncertainty in Aladdin's eyes and recognized it as weakness. When the lamp fell into his hands, ambition finally met opportunity. The sky above Agrabah darkened not with storm clouds, but with fear as Jafar unleashed the power he had long desired. Order collapsed quickly. Guards obeyed without question. The palace changed from sanctuary to prison. Wishes twisted themselves into reality, each one bending further away from balance. Jafar's rule was loud, impressive, and hollow, built on force rather than loyalty. Aladdin lost everything. The title vanished. The palace doors closed once more. The lamp was gone. For a moment, he stood exactly where he had started. No magic, no disguise, no protection. But something had changed. He no longer saw himself as small. Aladdin returned to Agrabah not as a prince, but as a person willing to stand his ground. He did not challenge Jafar with strength, but with understanding. He recognized the hunger behind Jafar's ambition, the endless desire that could never be satisfied. When Jafar wished to become more powerful, Aladdin offered no resistance. When Jafar demanded more, Aladdin let him. And when Jafar wished to become a genie, thinking it the highest form of existence, the truth revealed itself clearly and cruelly. Power without freedom is another form of prison. Jafar vanished into his own lamp, bound by the very force he had chased. Silence followed. Agrabah breathed again. Aladdin stood amid the aftermath, holding the lamp one final time. The genie hovered nearby, quieter now, watching with an expression that held both hope and resignation. Freedom had always been close, yet unreachable. The final wish waited. Aladdin did not hesitate. He wished for the genie to be free. There was no explosion, no dramatic transformation. The chains simply disappeared. The lamp fell silent. The genie stood smaller somehow, yet brighter, lighter, as if gravity itself had loosened its hold. For the first time, he belonged to himself. Jasmine chose her own future. The Sultan changed the law not because tradition demanded it, but because understanding finally did. Agrabah did not become perfect, but it became honest. Aladdin returned to the streets not as a thief, not as royalty, but as someone who had faced himself and chosen truth over illusion. The palace no longer felt distant, not because he had climbed higher, but because the walls themselves had lowered. And beneath the sky of Agrabah, unchanged yet newly understood, a dream quietly became reality. In the end, Agrabah does not need another ruler wrapped in magic. It needs honesty. It needs courage. It needs people willing to choose what is right, even when it costs them everything. Aladdin stands before the genie one final time, understanding at last that freedom cannot be borrowed, only given. His final wish is not for power, nor status, nor safety. It is for someone else. As the genie fades into the open sky, laughter trailing behind him like a promise, Agrabah breathes again. The palace gates open. The laws change. And the city, loud and imperfect, continues on, changed not by magic, but by choice. Aladdin is not a prince. But he is finally himself. And sometimes, that is the greatest miracle of all. Thank you for listening to this story. May your dreams be gentle, and your night be peaceful. Sleep well, and we will meet again in the next tale.